Nick's elimination from the All-Star season came as a shock, but what happened with this contestant was even worse. As much as I hate to admit it, sometimes contestants are eliminated because, to put it bluntly, they were boring. Yeah, and as much as Nick makes it to the top of the list of the most robbed contestants, this contestant right here follows right behind. Let's start by reviewing the 6th service of Season 6. Now, watch carefully because I have a very important question for you at the end, and I genuinely need your opinions. So, both teams were off to a swift start as they seized their first tickets, plunging headfirst into crafting their respective dishes. Andy, unfortunately, missed the mark by misinterpreting an order, setting off a chain reaction of frustration. He mistakenly heard an order for 1 set of scallops instead of the required 2, and nobody was willing to take responsibility for it.
For risotto, I'm like, dude, you and your accent, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Scott, do you take offense? I mean, blaming Chef Ramsay for not getting an order when the rest of the team just understood his accent was incomprehensible.
I got it, Chef.
How many scallops on there?
2 scallops, Chef.
Unbelievable.
If he could slow it down a little bit, it would help me out a lot.
Meanwhile, Jim presented his risotto, which Chef Ramsay promptly deemed as a peppery punch in the taste buds. Cue the reprimand sesh.
Yeah, it's a little peppery.
Yeah, it's burning my fucking mouth off.
In another corner of the red team's brigade, things got really saucy. Chef Ramsay unleashed a tirade at Tennille for conjuring up a spinach surplus. His demand for her to cook for the whole neighborhood didn't quite sit well with her. Tennille fired back saying,
Chef Ramsay needs to learn how to show some respect, especially when I'm up there working hard.
Well, she was right. On the other side of things, the Blue Kitchen was brewing with its own drama. Jim's second swing at the dish missed the mark, leaving it tasting as thrilling as waterlogged cardboard. Chef Ramsay, in a not-so-subtle manner, called upon the Blue Squad to try their comrade's creation.
All of you, hey, face! Taste that. Have a look at the shit you're sending.
In the Red Kitchen, the ladies were on the verge of completing their appetizers when Chef Ramsay requested mashed potatoes from Tennille. However, things took a sticky turn as the potatoes clung fiercely to the pot. This left an insufficient amount for a 2-person serving. Tennille, recalling the previous incident of serving excess, voiced her reservations about repeating the same mistake.
Take something up to the past, it's too much. Take something else, it's not enough. You just gotta find something to bitch about.
And while her concerns appeared genuine, Chef Ramsay accused her of taking the situation lightly.
It's so bizarre. Whether this is a joke or an act for you, let me just tell you something. You act pathetically.
Now, this assessment proved to be the tipping point for Tennille. In a moment of intense frustration, she both reciprocated and escalated the derogatory remarks, much to the shock of her teammates. The exchange escalated even further as Chef Ramsay didn't skip a beat before ejecting her from the kitchen. As tempers flared, the heated confrontation spilled into the back hallway.
Let me do my
Don't
job.
you dare turn around and tell me that I'm fucking crap.
You know I'm
or you
my-
off through those doors.
Oh, well, that moment is going down in Hell's Kitchen history forever. Anyway, returning to the Red Kitchen with frustration, Tennille directed her teammates to vacate her station. She was clearly not in the mood for any distractions. Meanwhile, in the Blue Kitchen, Chef Ramsay turned to Jim once more, seeking the elusive perfect risotto. But his third attempt failed to impress. I don't even know if I can be surprised at this point.
That's where I draw the line. Scott, do it.
Yes, Chef, right now.
What's more, the blue team's sluggish pace, so sluggish that they were still working on their initial table, only added to Chef Ramsay's mounting impatience. After a lengthy hour and 15 minutes into the service, courtesy of sous chef Scott's intervention, the blue team managed to serve up their appetizers. Finally! Meanwhile, in the Red Kitchen, as the ladies ventured into preparing their entrees, Chef Ramsay's call for chicken brought about a little hiccup.
Where's the chicken?
It already went up. I put that up first, Chef.
Sabrina confidently claimed to have sent it out already, but to everyone's dismay, it was neither on the hot plate nor on anybody's table. So, where was it? Well, considering Sabrina probably couldn't magic it out of thin air, Ramsay told her to cook up a fresh batch.
Where's the chicken gone?
But Sabrina was unbothered to say the very least.
The chicken's mysteriously gone.
Yes, Chef.
It's like I need a detective in here. Where's the chicken?
Where's the chicken? I don't know.
Meanwhile, the men commenced their entrees. Sous Chef Scott didn't miss a beat, pointing out that Dave had taken a detour in the garnish department.
I'm going up with your garnish.
Hey, you don't even know what you're doing because you're cooking something we don't even fucking need.
Chef Ramsay then urged Dave to snap out of it and get back on track.
Hey, seriously now, can you wake up?
Yes, Chef.
You're screwing your team.
Yes, Chef.
Now, I really hope you're keeping tabs on what's been going on so far. Kevin took charge of the entrees in the blue kitchen, stepping into the spotlight. However, his leadership triggered a minor disagreement with Dave, centered around the precise timing for the garnishes.
I have 3 minutes, so you have 4.
Go then, please! Son of a bitch.
While the tension simmered in the red kitchen, Sabrina found herself in a spot of bother with the chicken. Seeking assistance in the carving department, she turned to Suzanne for guidance, despite it being a task that typically takes no more than 30 seconds.
Go in. No, that way. Yep.
Bring me out the fucking chicken!
However, the outcome left much to be desired as the chicken ended up being poorly carved.
Can you at least just cut the chicken properly, yeah? Oh, really?
This mishap led to Sabrina casting the blame in Suzanne's direction, while receiving a lecture on how to actually use a carving knife properly.
Don't butcher it!
Yes, chef.
And use a carving knife because you're carving chicken.
Yes, chef.
It looks like a dog's dinner.
Back in the blue kitchen, Chef Ramsay swiftly called out the next order, prompting the team into action. Now, Andy seemed to have completely spaced out again, much to Kevin's dismay.
You need to pay attention. I can't remember everything for you.
One halibut, yes?
Yes, chef.
Chef Ramsay's disappointment peaked as it became apparent that Andy was on the verge of preparing 2 halibut portions instead of 1.
How many halibut?
2 halibut, 1.
Oh my God!
And yet, he remained cocky to the bitter end.
I don't think you really need to go to school to learn to count. I think you can go learn that at home if you like.
Well, that cockiness didn't save his halibut from emerging undercooked, I'll tell you that.
I can't even separate it, it's raw. Yes. Raw! Raw!
Oh god, this dude was a colossal fuck up. Anyway, a quarter-hour ticked by, and the blue team found themselves in a holding pattern, waiting on Andy to deliver that much-awaited halibut. Meanwhile, in stark contrast, the red team efficiently dispatched their entrees to the diners. However, amidst their momentum, an unwelcome guest made a return visit to the hot plate.
All of you, come here a minute. I'm fed up with it. Give me an answer for that. That's raw pork.
This is when Suzanne, trying not to, poison anybody, immediately took action.
You can't send out raw pork. It will make you seriously ill.
And Chef Ramsay didn't hold back either.
It's me.
Yeah, was it? Oh!
I mean, that alone is grounds for immediate ejection, right? Anyway, in the blue kitchen, Andy's attempt at the halibut resulted in an overcooked catastrophe again.
Touch that there. It's like a fucking bullet.
I'll get fire some more, chef.
Chef Ramsay all but accused them of sabotaging the blue team's efforts.
And then you say that's cooking. You're screwing your team.
Yes, I am, chef.
Now, despite Kevin's attempt to lend a helping hand and salvage the situation, Andy declined the assistance.
Hey, cover that!
Dude, give me a second. I know what I'm doing.
I hope he knew what he was doing. Spoiler alert, he didn't. The halibut was undercooked again, prompting Dave to voice his frustrations about Andy's dragging performance. And boy was he right.
Guys, I gotta slow down. I'm sorry.
Come on.
What's going on?
He's dragging the whole service down.
Simultaneously over in the red kitchen, another setback struck as a raw lamb dish made its return. Sabrina, in an attempt to deflect the blame, claimed that the dish had been sent out medium well. This led Chef Ramsay to swiftly rebuke her for seemingly shifting responsibility onto the customers.
You're arguing the customer's wrong.
No, chef.
Raw pork, undercooked lamb, now you're blaming the customer.
Ejection, I was hoping for it. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as Chef Ramsay's patience wore thin. He clearly expressed his exasperation, lambasting both Sabrina for her attempt to shift the blame and Andy for a struggle in the kitchen. At his wit's end, Chef Ramsay issued an order for both kitchens to pull the plug for the night, putting the chaotic service out of its misery.
Switch it off! You! Fuck off, will you?
Yes, chef.
Well, it should go without saying that the blue kitchen tanked because of Andy, and the red team because of Sabrina. But which of the two was gonna get the boot?
Sabrina, Andy, back in line. Jim, take your jacket off.
What? He wasn't even nominated? Jim did not deserve to go home, and that's a hill I'd die on any day. Sure, his service wasn't top-notch, but compared to Andy and Sabrina, who single-handedly ruined the service, it was peanuts. Chef Ramsay claimed that Jim lacked passion, but honestly, I felt that he was just more laid back.
It's like this dead corpse inside. Show some emotion, will you? Or piss off.
Justice for introverts. In the words of the season's winner himself,
Chef Ramsay seems to pick on Jim, but I think Jim did a great job.
remember when he mentioned that he wouldn't change who he was for any job on his way out?
Chef Ramsay wanted to see me give him back some fire, and that's just not me. So at the end of the day, when my head hits the pillow, I know that I never wavered on who I am.
At first I thought he meant Chef Ramsay's aggressive kitchen style, but now I'm thinking maybe it was the producers or directors pulling the strings. Apparently, he was eliminated because he refused to start a feud with Robert or Kevin. Yeah, that's the consensus among the HK community. If that's the case, I'm proud of you, my man. Jim, you were funny as hell, and I was definitely rooting for you, so justice for Jim. And if you're with me, then make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe, and turn on my post notifications. Oh, and how could I forget this?
There was just scraps of meat just everywhere. It was a kitchen apocalypse, like a hand grenade went off in a cow's ass.
So iconic. Moving on, this has to be one of the most passionate pleas I've ever seen on the show.
Since I've come on the blue team, Chef, I have improved. The first night of service, myself and Brian finished service on our own.
And she's absolutely right about the Mexican night service. Again, you be the judge if the elimination was fair or not. Guy took charge of the ahi tuna in the blue kitchen, known for his expertise, and vowed to never deliver subpar food. However, his initial attempt fell short as the tuna arrived cold at the pass.
Touch that. Stone cold.
It's good. It's good.
You want to fucking argue?
Bro, don't even argue, just put your head down and say yes, chef. And also fix the mistake next time around. Then both Patrick and Guy, diving into their first attempt at fulfilling an entree order, face an immediate hiccup. Guy, who was now in charge of the steaks, unfortunately sent out a dish with one portion overcooked and the other distressingly dry.
One just slightly overcooked and one that is dry.
Clemenza knew Guy's capability in cooking a steak, having witnessed it countless times before. I can only imagine how baffled the guy was seeing Guy flounder so hard.
We've all done this a million fucking times before.
Chef Ramsay, meanwhile, directed his attention to Patrick, implying that Guy seemed to have thrown in the towel and instructed Patrick to take charge of the situation.
You need to control it. You're gonna start showing up now.
Yes, chef.
So, during their second attempt, Guy and Patrick coordinated their efforts in the kitchen. However, as Patrick placed his chicken back in the oven for an additional minute, Guy began slicing his steak.
Shit, it's not.
Ah, shit, here we go again.
2 chicken, how long?
I have a chicken in the oven. It'll be 1 more minute, chef. I'm very sorry. I'm working on it.
Yeah, fuck off, you. Piss off.
Guy blamed Patrick for it, accusing him of disrupting his rhythm in the kitchen.
You told me to cut the steak. You didn't give me the right time. You told me it's ready, and it wasn't ready.
Things were getting ugly. Chef Ramsay, witnessing the tension, made a decisive move, opting to remove both Guy and Patrick from the kitchen.
Piss off.
Now, as Clemenza got working on the pork, a crucial portion slipped his mind, requiring him to keep working for another 2 minutes. And we all know how much Chef Ramsay loves unexpected delays.
One more pork, how long?
None of them are cooked. 2 more minutes on the pork.
Oh,
Talk
come
about
on.
this is ready.
Amidst this, Justin made an impulsive decision to present the pork despite Clemenza's objections.
Justin, don't put out the fucking pork. Don't put out the pork. It's not cooked.
In Clemenza's defense, he was literally begging. But sadly, as feared, the dish turned out to be really overcooked and Chef Ramsay was not happy. So much so that he ejected both Clemenza and Justin from the kitchen without letting another second go by.
Can I please get out?
I just told you the pork's not cooked 5 motherfucking times.
As the dinner dragged on for another solid 2 hours, it was becoming painfully clear. No main dish had even left the kitchen yet. Chef Ramsay got deadly serious with the blue team, warning them to shape up and stop the slip-ups or they'd have hell to pay. And then, in the middle of all this craziness, Chef Ramsay stumbled upon charred bits clinging to Royce's chicken. This led to Royce getting the boot from the kitchen, and that was obvious. Chef Ramsay, looking more disappointed than angry, mentioned that it seemed like Royce couldn't handle the pressure of the job.
How did that taste?
Terrible, chef.
Get out!
Royce was out, leaving Brian and Roshni as the last standing members of the blue team in the kitchen. The situation was bleak, and Roshni was really feeling it. But Chef Ramsay had no sympathy, and he laid down a serious ultimatum for the two.
On my children's life, you fuck that table, that's it. It's history.
Wow, that's scary. And apparently, just the right amount of motivation that they needed. Hey, if it works, right? Either way, determined to turn things around, Brian and Roshni pulled themselves together and somehow pushed out the first batch of main dishes on their own. After finding their rhythm, they picked up steam and managed to finish the rest of the service too.
Service, please.
See, she did find her voice. How could her team have no faith in her after this? Now, even in the service that she was eliminated, her performance wasn't even that bad. She wasn't even nominated. Again, you be the judge and let me know your opinions. So, in the 8th service, Clemenza presented chewy pasta, and Chef Ramsay was so done with him.
Pasta is fucking chewy.
Yes, Chef.
It's not fucking rocket science.
On the blue team's front, they were hustling to fulfill Ortiz's order.
This is something I have trained for. I am ready.
Despite Brian's initial confidence, his risotto arrived at the pass in a soupy state, inviting Chef Ramsay's ire as he labeled Brian's actions as lazy for sending out a dish he knew wasn't up to par.
A VVIP guest sat on the chef table and you serve them piss risotto. You know it's wrong and you send it. Fucking lazy.
Simultaneously, Roshni faced a dual debacle, serving both raw Wellingtons and overcooked steaks.
And then this, raw. A first fucking table.
Like, split the difference and they'd be perfect. But the blue team was still struggling to get their first main dish out, and it was all made worse by Patrick serving up an ice-cold lobster. Royce wasn't impressed one bit, and called him out for looking completely clueless.
Patrick, what the fuck are you doing? It's like you've never cooked fucking before. Come on.
While Chef Ramsay laid down the law on both teams, Roshni actually geared up and made a comeback. 2 hours in, contrasting scenes unfolded between the red and blue teams. The red team hustling to deliver their entrees was looking good, while the blue team was still grappling with their initial ticket.
Cold lobster. For the second time tonight, I swear to God.
However, fate had other plans, as his second attempt landed on Chef Ramsay's plate raw once again. This critical error proved to be the breaking point, as Chef Ramsay, left with no tolerance for further mishaps, promptly ejected the entire blue team from the kitchen.
Fuck off. I'll do it on my own. Get out. Get out. I want to get out.
As they made their way back to the dorms, Clemenza couldn't mask his frustration, feeling agitated by yet another loss for the blue team. Alrighty, so now that you've seen everything, who should go home here? See, Roshni dodged the initial elimination nomination, but found herself summoned alongside Patrick after Chef Ramsay overruled the team's initial choices of Brian and Clemenza. In her plea to stay, she highlighted her growth.
The first night of service, myself and Brian finished service on our own. And I'm a team player. I'm honest, loyal, and dedicated.
However, when it came down to the wire, most of the safe male contestants leaned towards sending her home.
Roshni, chef.
Royce.
Patrick, chef.
This did not sit well with her, and she didn't hold back. She reminded Clemenza, Justin, and Brian about how she stood her ground when most of them were ejected from the service. And she called them all out for choosing to eliminate her over Patrick.
You guys all got kicked out of that kitchen. Myself and Brian finished that service.
Damn, she's such a fighter. The red team at least acknowledged that. But despite her impassioned plea, Roshni faced elimination as everyone seemed to turn their back on her. In her exit interview, she was so disappointed, and I agree with everything that she said.
I never got involved in all the bullshit. I was here for a purpose. I just don't think I got enough time to prove it.
Oh man, this girl bared her soul in her plea to stay and literally poured her heart out. Do you think she should have at least been given another chance? I definitely think so. She was 100% robbed. Moving on, raise your hand if you think LA was unfairly eliminated over Carol. All Carol did was continue her squabble with Andrea for one more episode. On the red team that night, Carol stood out as the weakest link, causing a ripple effect that impacted LA's Garnish station. Despite Carol's misstep on the meat station, LA shouldered the blame for the slip-ups, taking one for the team. As the red team began sending out their entrees, Carol announced a 5-minute delay for her first Wellington. Chef Ramsay, puzzled by the delay, questioned Carol about the convection oven.
What's your oven on?
Right now it's at 400.
Ramp it up to 500 then, I don't care.
Andrea, expressing reservations, voiced concerns about Carol's ability to handle the meat station.
I definitely had concerns about Carol being on meat station.
Are you ditzy?
No, I don't want to burn the rest of them.
Carol defended her actions, expressing worries about the Wellingtons burning. Ramsay, completely unimpressed, criticized her and cautioned Paula about the team's potential trouble due to Carol's actions.
I'm backed up and she's acting ditzy. I'm warning you now, we're gonna be in the fucking shit if we don't start getting this stuff done.
Then again, as expected, Carol faced the heat as her Wellingtons arrived cold, prompting her to pledge to Chef Ramsay that she'd pull herself together. However, Andrea remained skeptical about Carol's commitment and attempted to coordinate timings with her. Frustratingly, Carol remained silent, ignoring Andrea's attempts at communication.
Let me know what's up. Can I go? You have your sauce? Can I go or not? No fucking answer.
Tensions escalated when Carol unexpectedly brought up the lamb without warning, leaving Andrea even more agitated.
Behind you, right behind you. She's not even ready. Coming with my lamb right now.
Where's the two Dory?
When Chef Ramsay called for the John Dory, Andrea swiftly sent it up. Unfortunately, the dish was a disappointment, overcooked and unpleasantly rubbery.
Touch!
It's overcooked.
Jesus!
This blunder led Andrea to squarely blame Carol for sinking her performance.
I was never told by Carol, a certain amount of time, and my dory sat there for way too long.
In response, Carol coldly deflected the responsibility, asserting that it was Andrea's job to prepare a fresh one.
She had plenty of time, so to blame me for that, ridiculous.
Carol, please. You are being ridiculous. First, the complete lack of communication, and now this? But despite the evident lack of communication and understanding between Andrea and Carol, the red team managed to push out their entrees. Their success, however, was short-lived.
Requested medium, it's still too pink, so have a refill for 2 medium.
Yeah, Carol, lamb back.
Jean-Philippe's return with Carol's undercooked lamb dishes stirred Chef Ramsay's frustration a ton.
Oh yeah, you're gonna blame the oven this time? Or you're gonna blame the cheese?
Attempting to salvage the situation, Carol sliced into her Wellingtons, hoping for the best, only to find them undercooked.
Please be well done, baby. Please, I'm begging you. Oh my God.
Realizing the error, Carol instructed LA to slow down on the garnishes to compensate for the undercooked meat. However, this decision left LA flustered, and she had every right to be angry.
I was sitting there ready to roll, and Carol just got freaked out and scared, and she just lost it.
While Carol understood that her actions were causing LA's frustration, she felt that she had no other viable choice.
I know LA was quite frustrated with me because I kept changing the time on her. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's not someone I'd want on my team. All of this caused LA to serve up cold mashed potatoes, drawing Chef Ramsay's ire.
Stone cold, come on, that's not good enough. Bland, cold, horrible mashed potato.
Then, Chef Ramsay's quest for the chicken led to a little hiccup when Carol couldn't find it anywhere, suspecting it had vanished before her very eyes.
Where's the chicken?
My fucking face.
Sorry about the time, yeah? Dixie's nail broke.
Huh, that's 2 disappearing chickens now. Anyway, Chef Ramsay informed the red team that 3 blue team chefs had already completed their last order, whereas 5 chefs were still waiting on Carol's lamb. Now, during elimination, seeking consensus within the red team, Chef Ramsay inquired if they'd reached a decision. Carol asserted that they hadn't, but Paula revealed a sort of consensus that had been reached. However, Chef Ramsay, clearly frustrated, dismissed Paula's attempts, mentioning that he wasn't in the mood. The discussion turned to the nominees, with LA nominated as the red team's first choice and Carol as the second. Chef Ramsay probed further, questioning if Andrea was considered.
Did anybody nominate Andrea?
I did, Chef.
I did too, Chef.
Displeased with the team's lack of cohesion, he summoned the 3 women to the forefront. During their pleas, Andrea rated her performance at a 6, citing communication issues with Carol and the challenge of firing 3 John Dorys to catch up. Chef Ramsay prodded Andrea for her opinion on who should leave. That's when she suggested LA due to Carol's potential to take the lead. Then, Chef Ramsay pointed out the discord between Andrea and Carol's work dynamic, with Carol defending their differing work styles. The famous chef questioned Carol about the kitchen she worked in that night, indicating a lack of noticeable impact. LA did defend her cooking skills, feeling that her nomination was unjust.
They think that I can't run a kitchen because I don't yell and because I don't show emotion on the line. That's bullshit.
However, after deliberation, Chef Ramsay sent Carol and Andrea back in line, ultimately eliminating LA. And what was her reaction?
I'm big on not showing emotions in a kitchen. Emotions are weakness, and I will never be weak.
You go, girl. So, who else do you think was unfairly eliminated on the show? Let me know in the comments section down below, because I know far too many people have been robbed over the years. And if you like my video, make sure to check out this next one right here.